So when would you use this gear? What's going on, guys? My name's Erick, videographer and editor for Inceptions Media and Films by Inceptions. So like I said before, my three main categories are interview type commercial style videos, weddings, and film/movies. So for the first category is interviews/commercials. And for that, really for any of these to stick on top of your camera, I always suggest to have this one because it's gonna give you better sounding audio than just what's coming out straight out of your camera. And it'll help you link other audio sources to it in post. Like if you're using the Tascam DR10L, you'll be able to sync them easier in post because you're gonna have better quality audio coming out of your camera. But for these sit down kind of commercial style videos, I would recommend a boom like I'm using here today. This is really good too because you can literally have 10 different speakers and they can all just come, sit down. You don't need to stick any labs on them or be dealing with any of that. You can just have the whole setup ready to go. Just have them sit down and you can just start talking right away. There's no like, oh, let me mess with the mic here, the mic there, let me take the mic off. That gets a little bit into the weeds about having to find the perfect spot to put it on, and it's gonna take up a lot longer of your time. But if I would have the boom mic as my only source, it'll be something for that I'm filming a bunch of people at the same time, or not at the same time, but like in a short amount of period of time, so I don't have to be taking stuff on and off of them. But for these types of videos, I would also recommend a lavalier mic, preferably a wireless mic, because if you're doing like sit down interviews, that's gonna mean you're doing something with a higher level paying client, hopefully. And you always wanna be able to check your audio and make sure that that's good, because the worst thing that you can have happen is you think you recorded everything, then you go back home, you start dumping the footage, and then you go and the audio cuts off halfway through. That's one of the last things you wanna be dealing with. So I would recommend like the wireless lav mics for sit down interviews, and also a field recorder, because you are gonna need to be able to plug those wireless mics into something. Obviously, if you can't plug it into your camera, but having something like this paired together for sit-down interviews and commercial work is always going to be better, in my opinion. When it comes to weddings can be a bit tricky because there's a lot of things happening all at once, and it's kind of hard to kind of get clean audio if you don't know really what you're doing. So for weddings, I always have the Tascam X8, I have the Tascam DR10L, and I'll have this small Sony handheld recorder. The Tascam X8, I will use this to kind of plug into the DJ soundboard or into a back of a speaker or anything like that. And that will be my main source of audio, just to make sure I can get everything on there. Because usually if you have a decent DJ, they'll have a decent system. They'll have like their own wireless mics that's gonna come to the speakers anyways. So it's like, might as well take advantage of that and have this mainly as my main source of audio. But for weddings, they are once in a lifetime events, so you don't want to just have one source of audio and call it good. It's a once in a lifetime thing, so it's not like you can go back and record it. Go tell the maid of honor to no, restart your speech, because I didn't record it. No, that's the last thing you want. So this is my main source of audio, obviously, because just ease of use. But then for something like the ceremony and speeches, I have these guys. So for the ceremony, I will usually stick the Tascam VR10L onto the groom, onto his suit jacket, because on the inside they have those handy pockets that you can just slip stuff in there easily, and they're also a little bit smaller too. So if you stick it into their inside pocket, you really won't be able to notice it, aside from like this little clip on the side. And even then, it's like very small, minimalistic, so you really won't be able to tell. So this lav mic, I'll usually just clip onto the outside of the lapel of the groom, and that should also pick up the officiant and the bride, because I don't really like to mic up the bride just because they have a whole dress on and it gets a little tricky to kind of weave the mic in there and to kind of just strap it into place. I like to avoid any hassle I can, and I'll just clip this on the groom. Hopefully it'll pick up the bride and the officiant too, just in case the recorder for some reason doesn't get it. And this Sony handheld mic is really good for just sticking into the pocket of the officiant. So for ceremonies, I'll have 3 different inputs just in case, because you never know what's gonna happen or what's gonna fail or what's gonna work. And for when they do speeches, like always, I'll have the Tascam X8 plugged into the DJ soundboard just to make sure I get clean audio. And if I can, I'll also have this Sony recorder on the physical mic that they're holding. And I do that by getting this mic sleeve on there, just slipping it on, it's gonna be pretty tight fit. But if anything fails with this one, I have this kind of recorder right up against their mouth, so that should pick up everything that's coming through. Because like I said before, it's always better to have a backup than to have nothing at all and just have something fail and then you're kind of screwed. And finally, for films and movies, I would recommend using a boom mic like I was saying before. The only thing is that it's gonna require you to have a boom operator or someone to help you out, hold the boom, follow the subject around the frame and stuff like that. And I would also recommend having these wireless mics, because if they are moving a lot in the frame or if they're running or anything, it's always good to just have that on your subject. That way you don't have to worry about your boom operator, running around trying to chase them and trying to stay quiet at the same time. And obviously when you use these, I would also recommend to have a field recorder. That way your sound guy can be monitoring your audio and your camera guy can be worrying about the camera. They don't both have to be worrying about the other thing. They can just kind of focus on their own thing and kind of get higher quality outputs out of each. So there you have it, guys, kind of an intro into audio, what kind of gear that I use and how I use each gear depending on what I'm shooting. If you guys found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend that might also find some value in this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.